This is Horayot 13b. Just a correction, the last line of the previous Amud. I was listening to it and I made a mistake and said that Rava said the very last line. It says that mice were evil. I said clocks. It's not clocks, it's cloaks. They gnaw at cloaks even though they don't get any benefit, no nourishment, no food. They just gnaw away at cloth and cloaks is what the word was. It says, the words were, students of Rabbi Eliezer asked him, for what reason do all predators dominate mice and prey on them? Dogs actually don't, but okay. He said to them, because concerning mice, their inclination is evil. And the Gemara asked, what is the indication of this? Rabbi said, they gnaw even at cloaks, like garments, despite the fact that cloaks did not provide nourishment for them. And now we turn to 13b on the top of the page with words of Papa Amar. Afilu shufta demar deraitzi. Papa said they gnaw even on the handle of a hoe. Okay? Tanu Rabbanan chamish dvar mashakachim es hatalmud ha'oichel mima she'oichel achbar וממה שאוכל חתול והאוכל לב של בהמה והרגיל בזיתים והשותה מים של שיעורי רחיצה והחורך את רגליו זו על גבי זו ויש אומרים אף המניח כלב תחת מרשותיו. חמישה דברים משיבים את התלמוד פס פחמין וכל שכן פחמין הזמן ואוכל ביצה מגולגלת בלא מלח והרגיל בשמן זית ביין וסמים והשותה מים של שיעורי עיסה ויש אומרים אף הטובל אצבעו במלח ואוכל. Okay, the sages taught in Bright there are 5 factors that cause one to forget his Torah study. One who eats from that which a mouse eats, and from that which a cat eats, and one who eats the heart of an animal, and one who is accustomed to eating olives, and one who drinks water that remains from washing, and one who washes his feet with his foot on top, that foot. And some say also one who places his garments under his head. Correspondingly, there are 5 factors that restore forgotten Torah study. Eating bread baked on coals, and all the more so one who warms himself with the heat of coals themselves, and one who eats a hard-boiled egg without salt, and one who is accustomed to eating olive oil, and one who is accustomed to drinking wine and smelling spices, and one who drinks water that remains from kneading dough. And some say also one who dips his finger in salt and eats it. Okay. Talmud של 70 שנה, כך שמן זית משיב, תלמוד של 70 שנה. Okay. The Gemara elaborates on the Braita. One who is accustomed to eating olive oil restores forgotten Torah study. The Gemara notes this supports the opinion Rabbi Yochanan said, just as eating an olive causes one to forget 70 years worth of Torah study, olive oil restores 70 years worth of Torah study. The Braita continues, and one who is accustomed to drinking wine and smelling spices restores forgotten Torah study. The Gemara notes this supports the opinion of Rav. As Rav said, wine and spices rendered me wise. The Braita continues, one who dips his finger in salt and eats it restores forgotten Torah study. Rish Lakish says, and that is the case with regard to one finger. The Gemara notes this is parallel to a dispute between Tanaim. Rabbi Yehuda says 1 finger but not 2. Rabbi Yossi says 2 fingers but not 3. And you're mnemonic for the fact that the dispute is between 1 and 2 fingers is Kamitza. Meaning the ring finger, when one presses his ring finger to his palm, there remain 2 straight fingers on one side and 1 on the other. Okay. Hagamal brackets, close chain, tackle gamal, atzmo brackets. Over ben shne gemalim, over ben shne nashim, haisha oberes ben shne nashim, over tachzuri achla, shana belavo tachaz agesha, shelo avru tachta mayim abayim yom, yehoichel pas, shloi bar shel kol tzolkoi. ואויכם בעשת מזום הנסתרין, והרשות מאמאז המים, עוברס בבייס הקבורס, והמסתכל בבני הנס, יש אומרים אף הקוירי כסב שעל גבי הקבר. 10 factors are detrimental for Torah study. One who passes beneath the bit of a camel, and all the more so one who passes beneath the camel itself. One who passes between 2 camels, one who passes between 2 women. And a woman who passes between 2 men, and one who passes beneath a place where there is the foul odor of animal carcass, and one of an animal carcass, and one who passes under a bridge, beneath which water has not passed for 40 days, and one who eats bread that was not sufficiently baked, and one who eats meat from zuhama listeron, a utensil containing a spoon and a fork, used to remove the film on the surface of the soup, and one who drinks from an aqueduct that passes through a cemetery, and one who gazes at the face of the dead, and some say, also one who reads the writing that is on the stone of a grave. Tanu Rabbanan, ki yeshanosi nichnas kulam omdim, en yoshvim ad she'amar lahem shevu. כשאב בית דין נכנס, עושים לו שורה אחת מכאן, ושורה אחת מכאן, עד שישב במקומו. כשחכם נכנס, אחד עומד ואחד יושב, עד שישב במקומו. בני חכמים ותלמידי חכמים, בזמן שרבים צריכים להם, מפסיעין על ראשי העם. יצא לצורך, ייכנס וישב במקומו. The sages taught it bright when the Nasi of the Sanhedrin enters, all the people stand, and they do not sit until he says to them, sit. When the deputy Nasi of the Sanhedrin enters, the people form for him 1 row from here on this side of the path that he takes, and 1 row from there on the other side of it, in a display of deference, until he sits in his place, and then they may be seated. When the Chacham, is that right? Yeah, Chacham. When the Chacham, who was ranked 3rd among the members of the Sanhedrin, enters, 1 person stands when he is within the 4 cubits of the Chacham, and another sits, meaning one is no longer within 4 cubits of the Chacham. He may sit, and all those whom the Chacham passes do this until he sits in his place. When the multitudes require their services, meaning they serve a public role, sons of the sages and Torah scholars may step over the heads of the people seated on the ground in order to reach their places in the Sanhedrin. If one of the sages left for the purpose of relieving himself, when he is finished he may enter and sit in his place in the Sanhedrin, and he need not be concerned that he is imposing upon those assembled. B'nei Talmidei Chachamim שממונים אביהם פרנס על הציבור בזמן שיש להם דעת לשמוע נכנסים ויושבים לפני אביהם ואחוריהם, כלפי העם, בזמן שאין להם דעת לשמוע, נכנסים ויושבים לפני אביהם ובניהם כלפי העם. רבי אלעזר בר רבי צדוק אומר, I don't know what tzedok is in brackets, but it is, אף בבית המשתה עושים אותם סניפים. When they have a wisdom to hear and to study, the sons of Torah scholars, whose fathers are appointed as leaders of the congregation, enter and sit before their fathers, and their backs are directed toward the people. When they do not have the wisdom to hear and to study, they enter and sit before their fathers, and their faces are directed toward the people. So everyone sees that they are seated there in deference to their fathers, but not as students. Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Tzadok, says even at a wedding party one renders them attachments and seats them adjacent to their fathers. Amar Mar, in brackets Yatza, I'm officially nixing out. I'm just say the brackets and that's it. I'm not going to say in brackets anymore. It's too tedious. If they put it in there, it's in there. Amar Mar, Yatza Tzvairech, Nichtas Yehoshua Kavan Papa, Lo Amru Ela, Niketani, Mam Gedoilim, Lo, Have Elim Dagan Hashem Yigawah. Jamar Yehuda Marab, Lo Ilam, ילמד אדם עצמו להשכים ולהעריב כדי שלא יתרחק. אומר רב הייתי נעד לך שמה ואפילו גדול נמי. The master said, if one is saved, just laugh for the purpose of relieving himself. When he is finished, he may enter and sit in his place. Rav Papa said, the sages said this only with regard to one who leaves for minor bodily functions, meaning to urinate. But with regard to one who leaves for major bodily functions, who defecate, no, he may not return to his place because he should have examined himself initially so that he would not have to leave. His failure to do so constitutes negligence, and he may not impose upon others when he returns. As Yehuda says, Rav says, a person should always accustom himself to relieving himself in the morning and in the evening, so that he will not need to distance himself between the daylight hours to find an appropriate place. Rava said, today, when the world is weak and people are not as healthy as they once were, one may even return after he leaves for major bodily functions. Nice. Ding. Rabbi Eliezer bar Rabbi Tzadok Omer, Af beit ha-mishteh, osim otam snifim rove, B'chayei avihem b'ifnei avihem. Rabbi Elazar, son of Tzadok, says, even at a wedding party, one renders them attachments. Rabbi said, this applies during the lifetime of their fathers and in the presence of their fathers. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, b'imei Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, nishnet mishnah zo. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Nasi, Rabbi Meir Chacham, Rabbi Natan Av Bedin. Ki avar Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Hatam, avo kaime kule, alma mekame. Ki avo ali Rabbi Meir Rabbi Natan, avo kaime kule, alma mekamayhu. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, lo ba'u lemehave hakera, ben dili ledidhu, taken ha matnita. Rabbi Yochanan says, this Mishnah, the preceding brayta that was taught during the days of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel was a Nasi, Rabbi Meir was a Chacham, and Rabbi Natan was the deputy Nasi. When Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel was there, everyone would arise before him. When Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Natan would enter, everyone would arise before them. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said, shouldn't there be a conspicuous distinction between me and them in terms of the manner in which deference is shown? Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel instituted the provisions delineated in this brayta to distinguish between the Nasi and his subordinates with regard to the deference shown to them. Ahu Yoma, Lo Avo Rabbi Meir v'Rabbi Natan Hatam, Emachar ki ato hazo, Delo kamu mekamayu, Ki dir vila milta amri mai Amaru lehu hachi, Taken Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. That day, when Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel instituted these provisions, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan were not there. The following day, when they came to the study hall, they saw that the people did not stand before them as the matter was typically done. They said, "What is this?" The people said to them, "This is what Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel instituted." Amar le Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan, Ana chacham ve'at ad bet din mitaken milta ki ledidan. Mai ne ve'ele nemale gali uktzim דלת-לי, וכיוון דלא גמיר, ממלל גברות השם ישמיע כל תהילתו. למי נאה למלל גברות השם? מי שיכול להשמיע כל תהילתיו. נברא והווה הנא אב בית דין ואת נשיא. Rabbi Meir told Rabbi Natan, I am the Chacham, and you are the deputy Nasi. Let us devise a matter and do to him as he did to us. What shall we do to him? Let us say to him, reveal to us tractate Uktzim, which he does not know. And once it is clear to all that he did not learn, he will not have anything to say. This is what I was talking about the other day. This, right here. Then we will say to him, who can express the mighty acts of the Lord? Shall make all his praises heard, Psalms 106:2, indicating for whom it is becoming to express the mighty acts of the Lord. It is becoming for one who is capable of making all his praises heard, and not for one who does not know one of the tractates. We will remove him from his position as Nasi, and I will be the deputy Nasi, and you will be the Nasi. Shami'inu Abi Yaakov Kudshai Amar Dilma Chas V'Shalom את ימילת על ידי כסופה. אזל יתה וחוירנתה רבי שמעון בן גמליאל, פשט גרסותנה. Rabbi Yaakov ben Korshi heard them talking and said, perhaps, heaven forbid, this matter will come to a situation of humiliation for Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. He did not wish to speak criticism or gossip about Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan, so he went and sat behind the upper story where Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel lived. He explained Tractate Uktzim. He studied it aloud and repeated it, and studied it aloud and repeated it. Amar, Maidikama, Dil Machas V'Shalom, Ikabe Midrasha Midi, Yavdate V'Gase, Nimachar Amorle, Netemar V'Nitene V'Uktzim, V'Tach V'Amar, Patar Deokim, Amar Lehu, Ila Gemirna, Kasef Tunan. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said to himself, what is this that is transpiring before us? Perhaps, heaven forbid, there is something transpiring in the study hall. He suspected Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan were planning something. He concentrated and studied Tractate Uktzim. The following day, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan said to him, let the master come and teach a lesson in Tractate Uktzim. He began and stated the lesson he prepared. After he completed teaching the tractate, he said to them, if I had not studied the tractate, you would have humiliated me. Paker v'yapkinu mibei midrasha, avokat v'kushayata bepitka, v'shadu hatam li'ava miparik, tilo hava miparik katvi, piruke v'shadu, amar lehu Rav Yossi, Torah mibachutz v'anu mibifnim. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel commanded those present, and they expelled Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan from the study hall. As punishment, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan would write difficulties on a scrap of paper and would throw them there into the study hall. Those difficulties that were resolved were resolved. As for those that were not resolved, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan wrote resolutions on a scrap of paper and threw them into the study hall. Rabbi Yossi said to the sages, "How is it that the Torah, embodied in the preeminent Torah scholars, is outside and we are inside?" Amar lehem Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, "Ni ailinhu mihu nisinu delo nemru shmat mishmarayu, azik kol Rabbi Meir acherim, uleRabbi Natan yesh omrim achavo lehu bechelmaihu, zilu haisuhu לרבי שמעון בן גמליאל, רבי נתן הזל, רבי מאיר לא הזל. אמר דברי חלומות לא מעילן ולא מרידן. כי הזל רבי נתן. אמר לי, רבי שמעון בן גמליאל, נהי דענה לך כמרה דבוך. למהווה אב בית דין שהבינך נמי נשיא. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said, let us admit to them. Let us admit them into... Okay, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, let us admit them into the study hall, but we will penalize them in that we will not cite halacha in their names. They cited statements of Rabbi Meir in the name of acherim, meaning others, and they cited statements of Rabbi Natan in the name of yesh omrim, meaning some say. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan were shown a message in their dreams. Go appease Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabbi Natan went. Rabbi Meir did not go. He said in his heart, matters of dreams are insignificant. When Rabbi Natan went, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel said to him, although the ornate belt, meaning the importance of your father was effective in enabling you to become deputy Nasi, as Rabbi Natan's father was the Babylonian exarch, will it render you Nasi as well? Matane le Rabbi, the Rabban Shimon berei, achem oimrim ilu hayat temura. Years later, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi taught Rabban Shimon, his son, that acherim say, if it was considered a substitute. Wow, this is interesting. I wasn't fighting. This is very interesting stuff.